A big hello to you. It's great to see you, and I do hope that you are well. And if you've been following this exciting build series where we've been completely renovating Weir Yard, you might be wondering why I talked early on about doing the water features and then didn't. We kind of got sucked into doing a lot of stuff just over here on the model. The mountain is ostensibly just finished. It just needs that water feature. And I keep looking at it with a sense of trepidation. And part of the issue with this is there's a lot of preparation goes into doing the water. And I needed to ensure everything was totally dry, which of course it is now. It's a couple of weeks later. And well, I just got carried away with building. But we're finally doing it. The waterfalls, the tarns, everything that I'd been planning for the Jablights Peak behind me, I am now going to investigate. And there's some products that I'm going to be using throughout this. So I'm going to show you before we get going. And first up, and probably the most important, is the deep cast water. So this is a 2-pack thing, and I took a photograph of the box just to give you a better look at these. So it's a 2 of the resin to 1 part of the hardener, and you need to keep it approximately. There is a little bit of variance that it does forgive a little bit, but not too much. And the biggest thing about this is making sure it's well mixed. And what I've discovered in the past is that you just need to mix and mix and mix. And one of the things which I found really quite successful was to actually go away and watch an episode of something, maybe about 20-25 minutes long, and just keep mixing throughout. And it just makes sure that the resin itself is thoroughly mixed with the hardener. And you're not really against the clock on this. I think it's about 20 hours, they state, for it to properly go off, 20 to 24 hours. And so you've actually got plenty of time to work this and do the features that you want. So that's going to be the primary ingredients into the mix, literally. And I've got some plastic disposable cups. These are the kind you buy for parties or when you've got small children come round and you don't trust them with actual glasses. So these are a great starting point for mixing things up in. Now I've also got a wooden stirrer. I've got plenty of these actually knocking about, so I'm going to be using this extensively to mix up the stuff, mix it well, but then also it's going to be handy for teasing stuff about on the mountain. And then I've also got loads and loads of these kind of semi-disposable pipettes. They remind me a lot of the ones that back in the day used to come with the Merit chemistry sets. I remember being a child and had one of those, and it did come with something like this. Thanks to the generosity of a Monday Clubber who sent me huge amounts of modelling supplies, I've got loads of these, and I'm going to be using those to just get small amounts of resin onto the mountain. Now, the main areas of like the tarns and the streams, those are just going to be the clear resin. That's absolutely fine. But when it comes to white water, there's a few little tricks I want to employ. Now, many of the tattoos new with, I did a lot of dry brushing with white acrylic paint, and that actually did work quite well. But I was talking to the Primo Models guy at a number of shows, Shildon, but also the Great Electric Train Show. And on his display, he's got some little dioramas to show off the trees, but one of them has this whitewater waterfall. So I talked with him about techniques that he'd used, and he suggested actually using a bit of teased out polyester kind of foam. This is from an old pillow. Now I've used this before for tree making. You can actually tease this out and then spray paint it when it's on the armature of the tree, and you get some really, really good effects with it. I'm going to use a small amount of this for the actual angry waterfall right at the top of Jablights Peak. And once that's in place, what he said was you kind of drip small amounts of resin down through it, and what that does is it soaks into the polyester fibre and in turn kind of creates those rivulets that hold their shape. Now, I've also got another thing that I want to try, and that's a product that I actually bought for the Four Seasons layout. This is the Woodland Scenics Soft Flake Snow, and it's a very granular type of substance. It's not static grass, it's more like that really fine scatters that I use for flowers, and also those three greens that are really important in the static grass application. And what I'm going to do is, once the bulk of the water is in place, I'm going to mix some of this with the remainder of the resin so that this then hangs in suspension with that, and then that with the pipette is going to be dripped in the areas that I want the white water. And of course, this being in the resin hopefully will create that effect, and I can still dry brush with a little bit of white acrylic at a later point in time. Now, I did consider putting some glitter in. I just couldn't get hold of any glitter, being a microplastic, and they're bad and evil, so it probably stands to reason why you can't just buy it openly so readily. Now, people in the comments are probably already typing away, oh, I know where to get the secret stash of glitter. Good for you. Go to the top of the class and jump off and sharpen all the pencils whilst you're there. But I've decided I'm going to try and keep it to the products that I've got to hand. Spent an absolute fortune on building this up, and that's why it's a great way to support the channel if you want to keep seeing these videos and me showing you how to do all of this great scenery. You can check us out over on Patreon, and you can also become a channel member as well. There's also all the channel merch. You can purchase some of that, have yourself some great hoodies, t-shirts, and also Monday Club badges, and those come with the unique in-person shopping rewards scheme, and it all helps us to be able to buy all of the fancy stuff to be able to keep going with things like this. Also, please like, share and subscribe as we go through the video, and leave some comments down below. Always great to hear from you, and it is an honour to hear that some of my ideas may have influenced you for your own model railway build. Do leave comments there. But let's get on and see what we can put together for the resin water on Jablight's Peak. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. We're proud to be sponsored by The Model Centre, your ultimate destination for great models and the home of model customization for enthusiasts around the world. Starting your first layout? Perhaps you're perfecting a lifelong build with passion. You'll find everything you need in one shop, from brand new locomotives and rolling stock at market-leading prices to an amazing selection of pre-owned model listings, uploaded live every day on the website at 5 p.m. Seeking more realism? TMC's talented workshop team offers professional weathering and realistic detailing. Explore top brands, expert advice, and a community that shares your love of the hobby, in-store or online at themodelcentre.com. I've moved over to my workbench for this. There's no point in mixing this on the model because I'm going to be mixing for quite some time, and it doesn't add anything to do it over there and just runs the risk of dripping any of this stuff where you don't want it to go.
Oh, it's all sticky!
So I've got two disposable plastic cups. Now, usually I would use a syringe to syringe out the right amounts, and I can just put them straight into the same thing. Unfortunately, unless you've got a ready supply of syringes, you can't really keep doing that because I've run out of syringes. That's really where I'm up to.
Well, we only had 3 bits and we didn't expect such a rush.
So I'm going to just eyeball the mix in these, and probably not ideal, but it's the route that I'm going to go down. This is the resin, so I need 2 parts of this to the 1 part of the hardness. So here we go, and I'm going to say that's about as much as I'm going to need. I can always mix up some more afterwards, it must be said. So I need another half the amount. So I'm going to now go up to just underneath that line, I think. So let's just that. So we're not really against the clock on this. So it's just simply a case of sitting here and mixing and mixing. Just really make sure it is well mixed. So we'll come back when I'm done. I've spent probably about 20 minutes watching a video and just mixing away. It's really important because otherwise you might get little pockets of unmixed in resin or hardener, and then you end up with little sticky spots in your river or water pour that just won't harden. I'm going to start right up at the top, and this is so that as the resin comes down, it's going to just fill up the rest of the river. I'm just going to get polyester fibre. You can also use cotton wool, and I need to fix this with a glue that'll be completely solid when I move into doing the resin. If you use a water-based glue like PVA, you'd have to make sure that it's completely dry. Otherwise, you're going to run into difficulties whereby anything wet underneath the resin causes really big issues. I'm going to use some super glue. Seems the best thing to do. Don't need a lot. I'm going to put a little bit there. Just tap this in. The resin is going to actually soak into that, and that in turn will make sure that it stays put. That should go off in probably about 15-20 seconds. So whilst that's doing that, I'm just going to get my resin, and I'm going to get some of those little pipettes as well. One of the other things I want to do is I've got the final stones from the stone circle. Now I've used these dotted around. I had a great effect with the Mynydd Tatws Newydd build, where I used some of these in the slate quarry, because the full stone circle's quite big, and that in turn I think would just overwhelm most models. But you can use the rest of these as being lumps of stone. So one of the things we can do is just add a few of these in, and of course these will just get stuck in by the resin itself. In fact, what I will do is I will drop some of these in afterwards rather than put them in at this stage, but they're here and they're ready and they're waiting. So I've got my resin itself, and what I might do is just fill up the tarn just up here, and then just using the pipettes just to move stuff into place. I'm quite happy that up at the top is glued in, so I'm going to draw some of this resin up with these pipettes. They're disposable, I've got lots of them, so it doesn't matter. This is effectively a one-use hit with these. And I can see the resin moving through the fibres. It's not a technique I've used before. I can see the rivulets forming. It's an interesting thing, but hey, if you don't try new techniques, then how do you develop? And you can see some of the resin now starting to make its way down the mountain. I'm going to add some in for the tarn. Again, you're not on the clock with this. It's not an issue, so you don't need to rush. Probably as well from time to time to have a look inside the tunnel and make sure we haven't got any leaks. Now I'm going to use some of these pieces and just sink them in. They will go down to the bottom. A little bit more resin. I'm going to fill up that. And I'm just going to continue in this way, adding it in slowly until I'm happy with the effect, and then I'll come back and start making the whitewater effects. So here's something that you may well come into. You can see here, despite my best efforts with this temporary dam of some clear plastic and some plaster bandage, the resin's still making it through. I've got a little cup underneath just catching the drips. But one little trick that I've learned is that plaster bandage is a very, very good seal against resin that's leaking. So I've cut myself a small piece of plaster bandage, and I'm just going to dunk that in some water. Then once that has dripped, I am going to just put some plaster bandage over and smooth that down. And this is all just temporary. This will come off when everything's set. And that will basically set now far quicker than the resin will, and will seal the breach. So just be vigilant and keep some plaster bandage to hand. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I'm pretty happy with where I've got to so far. I've got the stream stroke ditch at the bottom all filled up, and I'm going to start working now on the whitewater effects over and above the polyester fibre that I've already put in. And actually, I think it's not a bad effect. We'll see what it's like when it's dry, but I want to add a little bit more something, and that's where the soft flake snow is going to come in. Let's find something to put this on. Let's not tempt fate. And I put that on there. And then what I want to do is take some of this soft flake snow. It looks a bit like sugar, it isn't, but I'm just going to spoon a couple of spoonfuls into the resin. I can always add a bit more in if I so choose. This is hopefully going to be just a little bit thicker, perhaps. Let's just mix all of this in, and I'm going to say maybe just a little bit more of the soft flake snow. Just very carefully put another spoonful in, just mix that into the remaining resin. Again, don't have to use all of this, but we're just going to try and create a little bit of an effect. So let's have a look now. You can just about see down here the river, and I'm going to just try and drag some of this through. Maybe it's going to look like foam, I don't know. I mean, this is where you could very easily ruin the water, but maybe less is more. A little bit of foam in there. So I'm going to leave that at that. Work on the waterfall a little bit. I think the acrylic dry brushing is still going to do quite a bit of the heavy lifting, but there is some merit to this technique, it must be said. So I'm just going to run some of that down here and onto there. Actually, I can see as that's soaking in, that does look a lot better. So just work at this. Again, up on these rapids up here, I'm going to have a little bit of white water just up near the top. So I'm going to get on and I'm going to see what I can do. I'm quite happy with the effect so far. Sometimes you have to know when to stop, and I've got a little bit left, but in all honesty, that's absolutely fine. Now, next step, I've got some of this bushes, dark green bushes. It doesn't really matter on colour, it's just this product is kind of what you want, and I've always found you can create a really good effect of weeds in water by actually dropping this into the resin, and it will actually sink down and kind of soak up the resin. I've also pushed a couple of bits in just at the edge here to effectively form a little bit of a dam. And there we go, there's another one. I might just put a little bit up here, and then in the tarn I'm going to put just a little bit just over here, which is going to just soak in and create that kind of water weed effect, which is something which does work quite well. And that'll just slowly sink down. Now, I'm just looking back here. This seems to have actually filled up quite a bit. I think what's happening is stuff is slowly running down. But I'm really pleased with the combination of the polyester fibre. It's just out of an old pillow. It's really coming into its own for doing these water effects. The snow scatter in the resin does seem to work quite well for white water, so much so that depending on how this dries, I'm not even sure whether the dry brushing of the acrylic white paint is going to be necessary. It's a couple of days later now, and you can see that the water has set really quite perfectly. I can tap it with my finger, and that snow that was just added into the resin mix and not thoroughly mixed in, but just sort of dripped across the top and allowed to spread and flatten, really does work well to suggest foam from the waterfall. I've also added in some of the Woodland Scenics bushes. Further up, I added a bit more of the Woodland Scenics bushes just around the edges of the bridge girder. This was in part because the resin was trying to escape, and these also are quite useful just to form a temporary dam that looks like bushes when it's done, but it is stuck into the resin. Looking down behind the girder, you can see again that soft flake snow really has worked well to provide that foamy look. And really the waterfall, this new technique I've tried out, a huge thanks to Primo Models Trees, who told me about this. It really does work well with that polyester fibre. You could easily just use cotton wool, but it really does work effectively in conjunction with that soft flake snow. You can see where the fibre hasn't been used, we've got a more muted flow, but still with the flecks of white from that snow. Moving further up, the foam effect really is great. It kind of slides down and parts over all the rocks. We've then got more foam up in the tarn and then up to the top waterfall. It's been a great little project, and it just shows how much water effects can add to your model. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
We're proud to be sponsored by The Model Centre, your ultimate destination for great models and the home of model customization for enthusiasts around the world. Starting your first layout? Perhaps you're perfecting a lifelong build with passion. You'll find everything you need in one shop, from brand new locomotives and rolling stock at market-leading prices to an amazing selection of pre-owned model listings, uploaded live every day on the website at 5 p.m. Seeking more realism? TMC's talented workshop team offers professional weathering and realistic detailing. Explore top brands, expert advice, and a community that shares your love of the hobby, in-store or online at themodelcentre.com. I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.